Okay, so in today's episode, I'm going to talk about how I've been making the player UI. Since this is meant to be a strategy game, there's going to be an information bar at the top of the screen displaying things like resources and the minimap and that sort of thing. So at the moment, it looks like this. So you can see here we have supplies, and there's 10 supplies, a population cap, there's 10 of those, and fuel, and there's 50 of those. These are sort of placeholder resources for now until I can kind of, sit down and have a think about how I want the resources side of this game to work. But this is how it's going to be populated. You have the minimap over here. You have a slider here for, as of yet, unannounced purposes. And then you have the rest of the info bar here, which will be populated with other things when I, as I said, get some time to sit down and have a think about it. So this was my first real foray into C++ and blueprints. I've been wanting to get into that for a while now, but I haven't really thought of a way to do it. So I thought, well, I'm going to make some UI now, so I will try and do it in C++ because I wanted all of the resource handling and the updating of the resources to be done in C++ because, as I've realized so far, you have a lot more flexibility when in C++ versus blueprinting. You can create custom functions and you can do anything you can do in blueprints, but I found it to be much more easily accessible. There are things that I would have done differently if I had the chance to do this again. But for now, I'm just going to take you through sort of a brief overview of how this all works. So the first thing we have is a data table in Unreal Engine 5. So we have 3 rows here with the 3 resources that I've currently put into the game, and you can see the name and the amount displayed here. Now, what this is actually used for is it is used by a custom struct that I created called a resource data, and this struct has properties as before: name, amount, production rate, and any other ones that I can think of at a later time. I also had to create a custom equivalent operator because it's a custom struct and the engine doesn't have built-in functionality for this. So what actually happens is at the moment my grid manager, which is the component that sits in the world and controls the management of where units are and that sort of thing. It also now contains this component, the resource manager, and this component actually has it contains an array of F resource data. So an array of those structs, which means that I can store quite easily, as many resources as types of resource that I would like. The resource manager also has a method called getDataTable, and this method it scrapes the data table for it scrapes each row, and it adds if that row contains a valid resource data object. It scrapes it and adds it into the array of resources, which can then be used by the UI and other objects later on. So when it comes to the actual structuring of the UI, in my current role, I use a lot of I've been working with a lot of Windows forms, and I really like in Windows forms how you can have something called a control on a Windows form, which is a sort of standalone object that can contain many other objects and can be reused, and it's very flexible. So I wanted to try and sort of replicate that within Unreal Engine 5. I realise now that might not have been the best way to do things, but it did give me the opportunity to kind of get into the C++ and create my own types and my own structure and that sort of thing. So I'm glad I did do it this way because I've learned quite a lot from this method. So this control single resource is, as you saw when I played the game before. So this box here, this is a single resource control. and it's dynamically populated from the data that's scraped from the data table into the resource data. And it uses the resource manager. The resource manager gets passed through upon runtime, and in the constructor here, in the assign resource method here, sorry, it gets assigned internally so that the information inside that can be used. On runtime, the player UI master widget is created and the UI is initialized. So what that means is the info bar master is created, the resource manager is passed through here, and then the info bar manager is added to the viewports. And what that means is that upon runtime, the info bar master, which is the blue bar you saw at the top of the screen that contains the controls, it will loop through all the resources within the resource manager, create a widget of type control single resource, and then it will assign the current resource to that control, and then it will add it to the resource holder. Now the resource holder is here. So the resource holder is just this blue bar. So upon runtime, this is it's within a size box, so each control will be populated and placed into the control here and evenly spaced. So I can have as many resources as I want as long as it fits within this bar. As I said, very flexible way of doing things, working with C++ and blueprints. It means that my blueprint graph is very, very uncluttered. You know, I have this single node here, which is actually a call to this method here within the C++. And I've tried to make it easily extendable, so simply by adding another resource into this data table, I'll try and do it now actually. The UI will update itself, so let's see if that actually works. Yes, so just by adding that row in there, you see here non 50, and I can do that for as many resources as I wish. Honestly, I've had a bit of a break from doing this. I find that with my current position as a software engineer, and also, you know, trying to learn a new language at the same time, you know, it's a lot of doing the same thing, and I was getting not burnt out, but kind of unmotivated, I find the term is. So I've taken some time off, and I am back now, and hopefully these videos will come out a bit quicker next time. Okay, thank you very much for watching and listening, and goodbye.